like...
So they have to find another way to tie him to the crime, which 70 years later, how you going to do that?
Well, they can tie with that situation. They already know it's him. He went on a run. We're getting way off topic.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. And we like crime mysteries. We like
because I was about to tell y'all.
documentaries.
Yes, I was about to tell y'all the whole story about how he got out of prison and everything. But we about to go, woosah, bring it back.
Yeah, bring it back.
Bring it back. We are here with the creator of the African American
Project.
Yes, and she did her ancestral results for everyone who's just joining, and she is also my sister. So she is going to reveal to us her ancestry. So before you reveal, take us through the feeling and how you actually got the kit and everything. Like, how did you feel? Why? How long have you been wanting to do it? Blah, blah, blah.
Well, I mean, the whole reason, or one of the reasons why I wanted to do my ancestry is partly why, like, I wanted to do this African American project. There's so many, like, different, like, facets to this, like, project, and one of that is I feel like African Americans are seen by other ethnicities as a people who don't know where they come from or don't know, like, who they are. And I remember I was on this date, like, with this guy, and he was, like, asking me, like, oh, like, where are you from, or whatever.
I hate it.
I was like, I was like, I'm African American. And he was like, oh, like, so you're just black? And I was like,
what?
I'm African American. And I also hate that, like, term. Like, anytime I'm talking to somebody who's, like, not African American or, like, whatever.
Oh, so you're just black.
Oh, you're just black? And I'm like, what does that, like, what are you insinuating by saying, like, just black?
I've gotten that a lot, too.
Yeah.
I hate it.
And I always hate that someone expects me to be from Haiti.
Right. You have to be right.
Exotic.
Why do I want to?
Like, the idea, like, just that concept of being
So
exotic.
what are you saying?
Like, I feel like sometimes you're saying, like, just, like, being black American isn't good enough. Or
Yes.
black American
Right.
being something, like, less than.
Like,
And-
you can't possibly just be
right.
black.
Like, oh, you're just black.
You're just like,
dang.
are you
Like,
sure?
know? Right, yeah. And I always hated that, and I got that a lot. And that's another, like, reason why I wanted to do this project. Like, it's not just black. Like, I am black, I am proud, I am black American, I'm African American, I am a part of the African diaspora, and we can all, like, coexist peacefully together without belittling each other's culture. You know? So yeah, I was like, African American, just black, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, man, like, I kind of feel bad for you guys because you guys don't, like, really know, like, where you come from or whatever. Like, he literally said that to me. And I'm just like, that's a thing. Like, people really don't think, they look down on us because either we were, like, descended from slaves or, like, we just don't know where we come from.
Or we don't have a, like, I always used to feel badly because we don't have our own language.
Yeah. And so I'm like, you know, it doesn't have to be that way. African Americans don't have to be a lost people, especially with the technology that is out there, that is literally at our fingertips. We can educate ourselves about our history. We can help educate other people about our history. We can find out about our American side, because I believe African Americans is a two-sided ethnicity. We have our American culture that we have created here, but we also have that African part of our culture. And I think we need to be better at kind of, making them cohesive. Like, familiarize yourself with that African side of you through research. And that's why I wanted to do this Ancestry DNA, because, like, a lot of, like, Black Americans will say, who are, like, kind of Afrocentric or whatever, like, well, I'm from Africa or whatever, and, like, that's it. Like, okay, Africa is a continent with multiple countries, so let's maybe, like, narrow it down. Like, where in Africa are you from? Okay, you find out that country, okay, start, like, acclimating yourself to the culture of that country. Like, familiarize yourself with the food, the language, you know, all of that stuff, so you can really actually feel like you have
sense of belonging.
Yeah, sense of belonging, and it's not this, like, oh, I have nothing to do with Africa anymore, or, like, oh, I'm from Africa, but I don't, like, know specifically, like, where.
You know, and I've heard that if you get to that point where you learn exactly where you're from, and you can, because I think I know like Charlemagne the God like knew what tribe he came from, all the way down to that. You can even do research on how they ate, and that could help you out health-wise. You might come from a group of people who never ate meat,
or never ate dairy, never And I always say that to people. You remember how we talked about that on one of the other shows? I think when we did we did the health food show, and we were talking about that, about how if you find out what your diet is supposed to be, your natural diet is supposed to be, that's how you heal yourself. And people don't want to take the time to do the research, not knowing, like you said, your ancestors might have never ate meat.
Never. Yup. And because there are cultures that, like, people that come from that line, like they never ate meat or like dairy. I don't think any human on earth is supposed to eat dairy.
Honestly, it just tastes so good.
But yes, it does. It just tastes so good.
Yeah.
So now, how did you go about? Now, I like this because I'm a romantic. I love all things romantic. I'm a girly girl. I love the romance part of a relationship. I love love. So and I say all that to say, how did you come to receive the whole kit? Because you didn't buy it for yourself.
I didn't buy it for myself. I had been like putting it off for a while, and I just I hadn't bought it. And this was like me wanting to find out like my DNA has like been like an ongoing thing for like a couple of years, but I just never like got it or anything like that. And I just recently got into a relationship about like 4 months ago or so. And in some of our conversations, I had mentioned, this African American project. He actually majored in African American studies and indigenous like Mexican civilizations and cultures, so we kind of like talked about that a lot, and he has an interest in that as well. So it comes to my birthday, and he surprises me with a little like birthday get together with my family there at his restaurant.
Talk about it.
And it was just like a really, really great experience. And then he comes out and he gives me my gift. And I open it. I was like literally not expecting this at all. I open it and it's like the Ancestry DNA kit like to take. And I was just like, I was so amazed. Like, cause I literally wasn't even thinking about that like at all. And the fact that he was just like listening, listening and paying attention, to that, and that he had like bought that for me. I was just like, oh my gosh, like
listening.
Yeah.
What do we always say? Foreplay starts where?
Outside the bedroom.
Outside of the bedroom. Foreplay starts outside the bedroom, because if somebody would have did that for me, everybody gotta go home. Bye. Bye. Y'all gotta go. We about to go. I just love that story. I just think it's a really cute story. The fact that he was paying attention, and the fact that it just was like something that you totally were not expecting.
Not at all.
So I love that. So are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready?
Okay, what do you guys like think? Like,
well, I do know that
like a cliffhanger.
No, I do believe that there is a little bit of Filipino in there.
Okay.
Or Asian descent, a little bit.
Okay.
I don't know how big. It's like a little bit in there. And when it comes to like what part of Africa we are from or where you're from, I've heard so many, like people have said, I've had so many people say different things about me and ask where I'm from, like, oh, you look like you're from Haiti. I've had Ethiopia like that. So, and then I've had like Ghana. Like I've had such a wide range of people. So, yeah, I'm interested to know. I can't just look at you and be like,
like pinpoint like that.
Yeah, what do you think, Khalida?
I don't know. I don't know. I want to say maybe like a little bit of East Asian somewhere. I don't know because I just don't know.
Yeah,
like,
the only reason
because black people are just, it doesn't really, we're so, like, you can have the same parents and you can come out looking completely different because of recessive family genes. So it's really kind of hard to even put that type of stigma on a black person. Like, that's why it just bothers me so much when people be like, oh, you're just black. Like, yes, motherfucker. Like, I'm black, y'all. I'm black.
Yes. But I used to be sitting there thinking, like, I can't even hide that I'm black. Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm the black of black. All right, so let's get to this.
Alrighty. So I am 29% Nigerian, 21% Cameroon, Congo, and Western Bantu peoples, 12% Ivory Coast and Ghana, 12% Mali, 12% Benin and Togo, 5% Scottish, 3% Germanic Europe, 2% Norway, 1% Senegal, 1% Portugal, 1% Wales, 1% England, Northwestern Europe, and then it adds like additional communities that
So basically, you Nigerian.
pretty much, yeah.
Basically, she black. She a whole bunch of different kinds of black.
She Nigerian, y'all.
She a whole bunch of different kinds of black.
And I was kind of afraid that I would have a lot more. I mean, maybe
White?
not afraid. Yeah, like
That's the thing. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah.
Yo, listen, when I first seen them commercials, and it was this light-skinned girl, and she's like, I'm such and such white shit, she said.
I was
like,
so fucking
listen,
mad.
I was like, no shit, Sherlock, they raped us. That's the first time I seen the commercial, I was so mad because she was so excited.
Why?
And I'm like,
You are
why?
part of the rape, sis.
Yes.
yeah, and
I
that
talk
is
really loud. I'm sorry.
that is a part of an unfortunate part of our history here in America. We will have or some of us will have, like, I guess more than others, like a large percentage of European like ancestry. So I was kind of like afraid of that. I was like, man, like am I gonna
That's
have
what you
like
gonna do? What you gonna do when you find out you got?
Both my parents is black as hell.
However,
this is the most pro-black motherfucker.
Yo, my grandfather is a black history writer. Like,
Wow.
I will be
And she found out
devastated.
she got some white in her.
I will never
Lord.
question my white ass ancestors.
I will say though,
They gonna be like, where's my picture on your
Fuck you.
Good.
Who the fuck are you? Get your, what was that thing that I sent you? Get your record box. Get the fuck out of
We
here.
love everybody. Alright, sorry.
history isn't 100% black and white, as we've been narrated to, or how like we may perceive in our own minds. Yes, a lot of slaves were raped, and that's how you get a mixed,
Right.
ethnicity or like racial
Lineage.
group and like DNA and whatnot. But there were some free like African Americans
And
and
interracial
interracial relationships. So I think
Yes,
that is
yes, that's
an
a
important
good point.
aspect to remember. Not everything is like so stark. Like, oh, like if you were black in the 1800s, then you were raped. Like, it's not. That's not always the case. A lot of times, like, yeah, it might have been, but it's not always the case. So,
Like 90% of the time it was the case.
yeah.
10% of the time it was not.
Yeah, so that's just pulling that out there,
But we feel you, sis. We hear you.
We try and be, politically correct.
We hear you. I mean, they got a whole movie about that lady called Love, but that was after. Okay. Anyway. All right. So, what was the most
Shocking
result? So basically, you are Nigerian because that was the biggest.
29%. Yeah.
29%. Some of these things I've never heard of. So can you did you do the background on any of some of the stuff?
Not extensively yet. A lot of these countries are on the West Coast. It makes sense
Right.
because of the slave trade. It would have been a lot for slaveholders to go like deep into
Right.
Africa and like into Ethiopia, because Ethiopia is literally like in the northern
Right.
part of like Africa. Like Somalia is literally like the Horn of like Africa.
Oh, that's another
and-
one I heard. So people thought I was from Somalia.
Yeah, and it's just like it's
Your
not
complexion.
very like realistic because
And
of
the size of my
You
my
know.
nose.
yeah, like where it is in Africa. So a lot of African Americans who do these ancestry tests, their results, a lot of them do come up Nigerian and Ghanaian and like stuff like that because they are on the coast, the west coast of Africa, which would have
Right.
been easier,
Easier
to extract
steal
the slaves from. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
To steal food.
Yup.
Yo, you learn something every day. You learn something every day.
It was
Drop
just a
some
convenience thing. It was just a
jewels. So,
convenience thing.
so there probably weren't a lot of Ethiopian slaves in South. Oh, so that's why they have. Because you said a lot of different things, and I was just sitting here like, none of it was Filipino.
Yeah, no, none of
And
it was.
that's weird, because your
Filipino.
dad is, who was Filipino?
So it's my father's grandfather was Filipino.
We have different fathers for those who just joined in, but we're sisters.
However, as the story goes, my father's grandmother, she had a child with somebody else before she met my father's Filipino grandfather. And the child that she had with somebody else had my dad's mother, who...
Wait, I'm already lost.
Say it again.
Say it back there all the way up and slow down.
My father's...
And use fingers.
My father's grandfather, Filipino grandfather, he met my father's grandmother before when she
dad-
already had a child.
Okay,
she had
so-
a child before marrying the Filipino grandfather.
When people are
Sorry, I didn't mean to scream.
let me say something real quick. When people are stupid.
No.
When people are stupid, screaming at them doesn't.
Listen. Eritrean. I'm not sure where that is from.
That's I don't know exactly where in Africa that's from, but yeah, they have a very rich culture and they're very proud people.
Okay.
And when Nipsey Hussle went there to learn about his culture, that's how he got hooked on the fact of on unity and bringing black people together. So when his father took him back home and he saw how his people were with their community, like how everyone stuck together and worked together and did stuff together, that's he wanted that same thing for African Americans. Like, why can't we do that within our own community? And that kind of was the birth of who we ended up getting. God rest his soul. Thank you to his parents for blessing us with him, because they instilled that in me.